All right. Welcome to Pets and Their People. I'm Lori Davis. I am here with our sponsor, David Servididio. Is that right? Did I do
Close.
it?
You got it.
And Alicia Collins from Canine Activity Club. So, both of you, welcome. And, I want to welcome you, Alicia, and thank you for joining us today. And Alicia, just for our listeners, Alicia is the proud owner of Canine Activity Club, where they do overnight lodging, daycare, training, and bathing services. But and it's in the Sonoma County area.
Yep, we're north of San Francisco.
Okay.
We're actually the largest facility north of San Francisco in California.
Awesome. That's awesome. So that's an awesome place to have a business. I know. I love it out there. Plus, you have a new app that we're going to be talking about today called Nuzzle.
Yeah.
And so just, I've gotten to know you a little bit recently over the past several months. And I have learned that you are the true epitome of an entrepreneur. You are a visionary, and
Appreciate
well,
that.
I think I can relate to that. I heard you say sometimes you can drive people around you nuts because you may have a new idea and I do the same thing. And my team's like, no, we have to finish this one first.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, but we can work on them at the same time.
A little bit. A little bit.
A little bit. But you have a lot of great things going, and I want to talk about that. And let's start out by talking about being an entrepreneur. And do you think you're wired differently than
Yeah,
a lot of?
I
Yeah.
think there is an element of that. I don't know that it's genetic or if it's conditional. Like here's my dog speech coming in, right? But my parents are entrepreneurs. They own their own business. I worked with them from the time I was 15 in the family business. It was home services. So I used to design solar systems at one point, and we had a solar business, and I loved that. And then I ventured off on my own for a few years to just learn about working for other people. And I was a young mom, and I couldn't risk the entrepreneurial life, right? Like I needed a consistent paycheck coming in, and we got our own apartment and all the things. And then I went back to work with the family business in my mid-20s. And I brought in, I went and did several years of accounting at school and drafting, and I worked with engineers and architects, and I really loved that world. But I love the dynamics of working with family. Honestly, I worked with my dad every day. It was wonderful.
That's
And then
he owned a car dealership as
when
well.
I was a little girl, when I was a very young little girl, we lived in Oklahoma, and my mom had a used car dealership that also had a beef stand, which was like a little mini restaurant, incorporated in it. Because, one thing is never enough when you're an entrepreneur. I feel like it's slow at lunchtime and we could sell sandwiches.
That's right. That describes you completely. That's just getting to know you. So it does. So what was that when you switched gears and decided you wanted to I know you have a passion for animals. So it's dogs, horses, it's what was that switch that flipped?
It's funny is that I never dreamed of owning a dog facility. This was never on my to-do list. I know a lot of people who work in the dog industry. That's their dream, and I admire that. But I never sat back and had no idea that this would be my path at all. In my mid-30s, at that point, my dad and I had our own commercial lighting company, and we were doing big lighting projects that were funded by rebates through PG&E, which is our energy company. Mm-hmm. And I had several dogs that came to work with me all the time. I did outside sales, and they rode around with me in the car, and I was already showing dogs. I show for the AKC, so show and raise dogs. My mom was a dog trainer, so I grew and worked at a veterinarian. So I grew up in a very dog and animal centric.
Right. So it makes total sense that you found your way. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was in between because I was I was on my own business. So in between sales calls, I could stop and do whatever I wanted. And I was showing them and really working on physique and body work. And I had there's a little gym in town, and I'm still buddies with that guy. He's a cool guy. But I would pop in and be like, you could do this a little better. Or I'm in heels and there's pee on the ground. Like, that's not cool. And trying to help him do it a little bit better, because I love customer service and I love business. I just love business.
Right.
So and then I was at the other side of the county going to the indoor dog gym and all kinds of dog stuff. And I just really thought it would be very cool if all these things were in one spot.
In one spot. Yeah.
So the catalyst was really having a dog gym and a dog wellness center. And this facility happened to come up and be for sale. And I knew really, I wasn't confident that a gym could hold its own, that there was enough money to be made, that it could support, a mortgage and all those kind of things. But it was an aging facility, and to get the loan for it, it was required a remodel. Actually, that was part of the loan.
Yeah.
And so, guy was retiring. This building and dog facility has been here for 50 years. Used to be Canine Companions at one point. People are pretty.
Oh, okay.
That's located in our area. They since built a beautiful private facility that's all their
own.
Used to be here. And we have a number of buildings that I knew I could work with and expand on. So that's what launched me into it.
Well, you certainly have. You have a thriving business. So and you recognize the need for sales is probably one of the reasons that we connected and clicked. And I'll just tell a little bit. Yesterday during a phone call, I'm coming up with a sales process for them, or they already have one. I want to give you that.
Thank you.
But some new ways of thinking about introducing their services. And I usually am the one to organize them, but I was taking her services as they stand right now and organizing them in a way that made sense to me as a pet parent, because that's really where I come from in this whole thing as a business owner, entrepreneur, but also pet parent. I'm that crazy dog mom. So I'll buy whatever you put in front of me because I don't want to feel guilty when I'm leaving my pets. So I think there are, I think about it, and there are about 3 types of facility owners or pet care business owners in right now. It started out that people would turn a hobby into, I love pets. I'm gonna open a business doing what I love, but they may not have known exactly how to run a business, or so luckily there are millions of consultants out there to teach them. Most of my clients, I find, were in other businesses, had other careers, and then saw this need that they wanted to fulfill in the area and thought, I can do that. They had pets of their own. They wished there was a place that they could take them the way that they had envisioned it. And so they opened a business. And then there's this new crop of owners coming in who are the investors. And so the conglomerates, private equity groups who see, oh, wow, the pet industry is a $150 billion industry. I need to get in there. And so what do you, as the pet industry just continues to blossom, what do you think are the things that you can do? Because we're all providing basically the same services. What do you try to do to set yourself apart from all of your competition?
I don't worry too much about competition, actually. I don't spend much time looking at what other people are doing. I have a lot of opinions about, what is proper care. Mm-hmm. And I focus a lot on the 2 things. I focus a lot on the customer's experience from the time they walk in, from what they see when they pull in the parking lot. I spend almost all my time here. Like, I don't want to hang out in a stinky place. I don't want to hang out where it's like pee. Yeah. And I know that that's an excuse a lot of times that, well, it's a dog facility, so people don't have to look a certain way. But I really feel like the staff should exude professionalism, and that they should actually be taught what that is. And I also, so I care a lot about the full human's experience, right? Because it is really important that they feel comfortable with us, that we're a voice of knowledge. We do a very prescriptive type sale, where we're really looking at what's best for the dog versus what the human thinks they want, right?
Right.
And we're super transparent and honest about it. So that's, one half of it. The other half is I do the same thing with the dogs. I look at the entire experience for the dogs, down to when the owners check in and they're ready to leave. It's easier for the dog if we stand and wait with the dog and let the owners leave and say goodbye. And then once the owners are out of sight, we can escort them to their spaces, instead of, pulling them away from the owners that are
Which
there.
is hard for the pet parent too.
It does not feel good. No, it doesn't feel good. So, we look at, because I really believe that the dogs are our clients also, and they don't have a human voice, but they will absolutely tell if they don't like a place.
Right.
So I want them to have a good time. I care about them not being overwhelmed. I'm a very protective of puppies. I raise puppies, so I do a lot of puppy things. I'm big on early socializing, but not in a way that's detrimental to their growth. Right. You can overwhelm a puppy. You can overplay a puppy. Right. Puppies shouldn't be playing 8 hours straight.
Yeah. Pet parents sometimes don't realize how much their dogs actually sleep during the day.
Yeah.
So when we explain maybe a 15-minute playtime, they're like, only 15 minutes for $15 or $20. That's a long time for, if you think of a toddler playing. So it's a long time. So it is, I find it's all about educating pet parents because.
Yeah. And I love education. I do really love it. We willingly and, give out free advice all the time.
Any pet
parent comes in and says, hey, my dog's doing this. I don't require that they come in for a training assessment and do a training program to get, crate training.
Have a conversation or,
I'm happy to help. I want it to be as easy as possible. And then it also was really important to me that we were a partner with them for the entire life of the dog.
I was just about to say that. Instead
of it being just for the adolescent crazy period.
Right. No. Or just for those individual visits, the times that they're there. It's a whole relationship over that 12 to 15 year period. And then you hope it continues because they're likely to get another dog. So
absolutely. Yeah. And being supportive, because there are phases that dogs go through in development. And sometimes that's not conducive to a dog daycare environment. And I don't want to lose that client. So I have to develop an alternative, that will work in the next phase of their life.
That's perfect segue to your new business, which is so exciting.
I'm so excited too. I'm glad you're excited.
Yeah, no, it is because, I have talked with my clients, not every dog, there are certain dogs that we have to say, I'm so sorry, this is not the right environment for your dog. If it's a 13-year-old dog or a 14-year-old dog and they've never stayed away from home before or something, there are always those little nuances that maybe it is better if someone comes into the home or, but then we've heard all of those scary stories about, there are scary stories on the news all the time about kennels. And people have this thought about dogs being in cages. And then there are the pet sitter stories where the dog got out and got lost while, the pet sitter wasn't there or whatever. So with Nuzzle, tell me about that. How are you marrying the two? And tell us what Nuzzle is all about.
It's been a complicated thing to put together, I will tell you. But I will say Nuzzle is a marketplace similar to other very well-known, that shall remain nameless.
That's right.
Marketplaces out there. But in other industries would be like Uber or, Grubhub or any of those things that put together a independent contractor and somebody seeking a service.
Right.
And then creating, an appointment to get something done. So Nuzzle's a marketplace for pet sitters, for owners to find pet sitters. It's very different than any other ones that I've come across, because to be a listed Nuzzle Pro, to be listed on our platform, you have to be actively employed at a pet facility or a veterinarian hospital. The reason I did that is I have a lot of, I'm a pet mom. I got a lot more than I care to admit, actually, dogs. And I have horses, and I have other things at my house. And honestly, when I go out of town for somewhere, I do bring some dogs to work, but sometimes I have somebody stay at my house.
Let it go. Yeah.
Because it's just,
I can't very well bring your horses to work.
So. I definitely can't bring the horses. And sometimes canine activity club's too full.
Right.
I didn't make any money off of my dogs.
Right.
So I have to be conscious of that. But the catalyst for creating something anew when there's already existing services out there really was seeing terrible reports on the news of things, accidents that have happened. Heartbreaking accidents. And every time I read something, I said to myself, none of my team would do that.
No, it could have been prevented so easily.
Yeah, none of my team would have left the door open to go get the mail and allow this dog to escape. Now, accidents happen. Accidents happen mostly with the owners. Like in reality, dogs get sick most of the time when they're with owners, even though, yes, there's a risk of illness when you stay at a facility. There's a risk of accident at a facility. You can't eliminate risks altogether.
Well, it's like a child going to school.
Correct.
They may get a cold. They may skin their knee.
You can't eliminate all those things. No. I really believe that training and safety and all the training that we do to keep dogs safe and and healthy here could be applied to the home environment and drastically reduce accidents and risks and things. And I've had clients begging us for years. Can one of the team members come to the house?
Right.
Oh, you're full. We all these things that happen as a facility that are kind of pain points, which is a client who we really love calling and saying, hey, can my dog stay with you this weekend? And we have to say, sorry, we're full. And we don't have an alternative for them. We don't have,
exactly.
A safe alternative to offer.
Have you found that a lot of your employees may have been signed up for some of those other apps?
Absolutely. I actually,
which kind of feels like they're competing with you in a sense, and has this, I haven't known how to navigate that with the pet care facility owners that I work with. It's because as a pet care facility, that's really kind of our biggest competitor is pet sitter.
Yeah, we've been competing against those for a long time. Because I've done a lot of gigs in my life, and I worked multiple jobs many, many, many times. I'm very supportive of team members, independently doing big work.
I think it's wonderful.
Yeah. And I think it can be great. I know it rubs a lot of facility owners the wrong way, and they have there are people who say they have no compete agreements and things, and those officially are not legal anymore in the every state in the United States. Recently, there was a federal thing against you can't prevent people from earning a living on their own time. Like, you don't own employees outside time. Like, that is, that's not fair to do. So this gives kind of a bridge, I think. It gives a bridge where, you've invested in their training as a facility owner. You care about them being able to pay their bills. And if they want extra money for a project or one of those things, and they want to utilize the training that they have, it's really like a win-win-win.
I think it is.
Pets, because they're going to get a safer person that they might already know. It might be their buddy from the daycare group, right? Their supervisor might be the one coming to their house.
How awesome would that be? Yeah.
How awesome is that? And then it removes the competition element for facilities, because the facilities do get a revenue share. And I've done a lot of researching and numbers to make sure that it's equal or more than what they were going to profit before the dog would have stayed in house.
Yeah.
I think that's really important, to eliminate that feeling of competition, right? I want to
Right. Right.
remove that feeling off the table completely.
Yeah.
And then, for the Nuzzle, the Nuzzle Pro, they have all the extra benefits too, and they get a lot better. They can charge a lot more. They get a lot more freedom. They get respect for all the amount they've earned, all the time they spent learning these skills, versus being on a platform that is saturated with unskilled people who just like dogs.
Right.
And
Right.
who can ever,
A lot more than that.
yeah, and that currently that some of the other platforms are whoever can charge the least.
Right.
And that is, I have never been that girl. Like I do not have a facility that advertises that we're the least expensive. I don't want to be the least expensive. I want to be the best. I want the best care. And so we're really good. Nuzzle will be a really good option for people who already use pet sitting but might use your daycare already. I have a lot of clients that
I was going to say, do you find that people will use a daycare and they have the disposable income to be able to, or they prioritize their money to be able to take their dog to daycare, but in a million years they would never have their dog spend the night with you? Do you encounter that?
Find maybe not quite like a million years, but yes, I know a lot of our clients have pet sitters.
Right. Right.
Because they feel more
it's just they think it's not, it's so providing playtime, a place for their dog to go and play, that's like a little extra, it's a gift giving their dog. And a lot of them don't see the gift of sending them to a very highly capable, highly trained team to care for their pets.
Absolutely.
They have and I think I used to be one of those people.
Yeah, we humanize the experience, right?
Right.
It might not be as much fun, and there's a lot of we have a lot of rescue dogs here, so there's a huge amount. I would say a majority of dogs have been in some type of a shelter situation or a rescue group before they're adopted. They come here, and the parents are very sensitive to it mimicking the experience that
absolutely. Yeah,
I don't believe that the dogs have a problem with it, to be honest with you. And I try to liken it to the kids going to summer camp and me paying hundreds of dollars for the week to sleep in a tent.
That's it. But you keep them really, really active and engaged.
Yeah.
And we put this in a lot of the scripts, is that we keep the dogs so focused on all the fun and interactions they're having. They don't have time to focus on missing you or being in a new environment because they're having too much fun.
And that said, the honest truth is also some dogs are going to be uncomfortable being boarded. Like that is just the case. Unfortunately, some dogs are home all the time and don't have a lot of exposure. And then the family's going to Disneyland. And once a year, if that, they come and drop a dog off.
Right.
And the dog and I do my very best to make them as comfortable as I possibly can during their stay. But would that dog actually be better off?
Yeah, if it's going to be a once a year thing, absolutely. Yeah.
Would that dog actually be better suited to be at home? And that's a hard thing for facilities to promote. It's counterproductive to our business model, but it's true.
I love it because we all talk about customized care, and what's right for one dog may not be right for every dog. So that this is just another level of that customized care. So whatever is truly best for that dog, you're going to be able to provide it. And other pet care facilities who want to join Nuzzle can provide that as well. So I love it.
Alicia, I'd love to learn just a little bit about where you're at in the launch cycle. So
yes, definitely.
Well, we recently just launched Q1. We're doing a beta test using my facility and my team. And hopefully Q2 will be opening to a handful of facilities that are interested. I've talked to a lot of facilities who are kind of like, where are you? I just don't want to do it preemptively. I want to iron out some of the kinks if they come up ahead of time, but we're very, very close. We're doing it.
Yeah. How are you vetting what are some of your criteria for taking on a pet care facility and then their individual employees?
So I really want to focus on highly rated facilities. So depending on what rating service we're looking at, everybody has kind of a different level, but
Right.
at least be, over 3 stars out of 5, and have at least 5 years in the industry, and a training program that you can
Right.
explain,
Yeah.
right? Whether you use awesome people like the Dog Handler Academy or something like that, right? We have, or the Dog Gurus or one of those. We have an internal system, but I could certainly open it up and share to somebody what that our university looks like. So
Right.
a
Right.
a documented system
Right.
for the team members. They have to at least 1,000 hours of facility experience.
That's awesome.
We run a background check. I've got a lot of 2.0 and 3.0 growth plans so that we can also support additional education and CPR training and all kinds of extra things that I think would be valuable for pet sitters. Perfect. But we want them, and the pet sitters have to be independently insured through we have a couple different connections in that. So it's a process, right?
Yeah.
Process. It's not it takes a minute to get everybody signed up and get it underway, but they probably need to have at least 5 employees, I don't have a specific minimum at this point of revenue or anything like that. But for some facilities that only do boarding, this can add in pet sitting. For canine, we have quite a few services, but we don't do any pet sitting. I can't afford to pay an employee to go do it just isn't, doesn't make any sense as a business owner to do that. So we actually get to increase our offerings by quite a bit. And we're not actually doing it, but we get to refer out to a service that does it, where we still make revenue off of it. So I'm pretty excited to see how it all plays out.
That is awesome. That's awesome. Well, so I know that I can't wait to learn more about it. I can't wait to recommend people to go and find you. And I know it's nuzzle.pro online. So people can keep checking back and
the website is up and live. There's an application there for pros. There's an application on there for facilities. And then as those come in, part of the facility application is a scheduled meeting with me, and we go through and talk about all the little caveats of being partner with us.
Awesome. So the last thing I wanted to touch on is that I know you became PAC certified last summer.
Yeah.
And you are the only one in California now.
I am the only.
That's amazing.
Certified operator in California. There are because there's 3 levels to PAC.
There are. Yep.
Help me out. What are the 3 levels?
There's oh gosh, you put me on the spot.
Sorry. There's operator, manager.
Is there? Okay. Professional. Yeah. And I'm trying to get them to do a certification for a vendor certification.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. But I love that Nuzzle might be a way for you to educate pet parents also about the importance of certification.
Oh,
because it's I just a little tidbit. Professional Animal Care Certification Council, PAC, was the dream and the vision of Susan Briggs and Charlotte Biggs. And I happened to be on a girls' trip with Susan Briggs when she asked if I would be on the founding board. And it was just very tiny, and it was an idea, and everyone told us it's not going to work. You can't do this. But the goal was to have independent third-party certification. And it's the only one in the pet industry for the caregivers. There's training so it's independent testing through a service that's out of New York City. The question writing process took eons, and
so does the test taking process.
Yes. Yes, it is. And it's for a reason, but it is the only not-for-profit certification out there for a pet care provider. but it's only as valuable as the pet parents who know about it. And so I think it's a terrific way. I encourage anyone who is certified to put it on their websites, but also through Nuzzle, is giving people peace of mind. Yeah.
The I love scaling in businesses, right? Like I love the concept of scaling, and you can scale in a couple ways. You can just get bigger, right?
Right.
When we first started, we had one employee and one part-time employee, one full-time employee, and myself, right? And now we have 50 employees. So that is a visual scale.
Awesome.
We've gotten quite large. The other ways you can scale is laterally, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can go, we don't do that service. We don't do this service. But one of my favorite things to witness is when a industry professional, it doesn't have to be this industry, but I have to this industry,
right?
Notices something's missing,
a need,
and then develops an entire spinoff to something else. So I'm because it reminds me of my own passion, and I know how hard it is.
Absolutely,
it's so hard. Like it's one thing to run. I feel like I'm steering a ship here most of the time,
right?
A big ship, But when you're like, oh, and I want to open a completely different thing, like PAC is several other, pet facility people who said, I see something missing and we should.
And we're going to dedicate.
And there's the Dog Handler Academy owner. She also owns facilities. And I love the new credit card that came out, the all pet.
The all pet card. Yeah.
We've been using that, and that's a wonderful service. Or Janie, who developed the pet care CRM and said, hey, this industry doesn't have a CRM.
Yeah. Crazy.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
So I just love innovation. I think I really value, how humans come up with new things and take the time and effort and
the leap, take the risk and go do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
or Vet Verify.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Vet Verify. That was a huge need, and so you, I know, are signed up with Vet Verify. So
great for us, right?
Every time I tell someone
doctors, I think, David.
Fun story is that Alicia was one of our very early adopters on the services side because she sent me a DM on Facebook, and that's just like. It's innovators tend to bump into each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's like, this is cool. I support you. He's like, prove it.
Exactly. It's a perfect example.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome.
And with that early, kind of thing, we can bump into little issues or different kinds of stuff. And everybody's much more willing to everybody's on the same team of figuring it out.
Let's work together and make this work because I mean, the concept is amazing. And so I know we're all in it with you, David, to help you grow it and make it work.
Guys. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Big guys are a big talk at our industry events as our big challenge. So
that's right.
The industry itself needs to be the one to take on the big guys. I'm going to need some help though. So if anybody wants to sign up, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely.
We're to help you.
Thank you.
So, well, I have loved this. I think we could talk for hours on end. Nobody knows this, but we talked for about 15 to 20 minutes before we ever started recording. So, I appreciate you being with us and hope you'll come back again because we're excited to talk more about pets and their people. So
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you all. And if you listen to this episode, we're going to drop the links to Nuzzle and the amazing things that Alicia's working on. So just click links, show her some support. And if you're an innovator out there, let's continue to bump into each other.
Yeah. Fabulous.
Sounds awesome. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye.